Yo guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2019 career mode. Here today for the Japanese Grand Prix, round 17 of the season. And apologies guys for not doing a video yesterday. If you guys missed the last episode for the Russian Grand Prix the day before yesterday, then go watch the race guys by clicking the link in the top right hand corner of your screen. And go watch the race guys. A very surprising weekend to be honest. I didn't expect much from it and it was actually quite decent overall. And around the track I didn't really enjoy. I was relatively surprised. But this weekend we are here at Japan. You can see on screen just now, we have a full wet race in terms of no change conditions. This is going to be intermediate conditions all the way through. In terms of the upgrades there, we do have all of our upgrades on the car this weekend, including a gearbox upgrade and 2 chassis upgrades, one for the tyre wear and one for the weight redistribution. And in terms of the actual history and the progress in the R&D chart, we actually closed back up to the midfield there and opened up a bit more of a gap to Toro Rosso. But I think that might be the last performance upgrades we might see on the car this season, guys, as we now focus and turn our attention towards, working on the car for next season and also taking care of the regulation change, because with those 2 upgrades now we've got to try and maintain those for next season with the R&D reset. And also I want to work on some durability. I also want to work on making the upgrades cheaper and more reliable. So there's a big list of things we need to get through, and we've got about 5 races left to try and save up some points and try and get through. You can see on the screen right now in practice we had a very good practice session here at Japan, and I was relatively surprised. The car was working fantastically well, and I did practice on 106% AI, which is what I normally run here. Historically I've gone as low as 104 on AI difficulty around Japan. It's one of the AI's strongest tracks along with Paul Ricard. It's probably their top 2 strongest tracks, and then you've got Bahrain, Baku and China. But I was quite surprised. I've actually pushed it all the way up to 108 going into qualifying, the highest I've ever had the AI on around this circuit. But after practice, comparing lap times with my teammate Robert Kubica, overall, I was actually relatively surprised. We seem to have some damn good pace, and also I do wonder if after so many patches the AI might have been nerfed a little bit around this track, because they definitely weren't as quick as I think they once were, at least from what I can tell from my memory, from what I remember. But either way, this weekend we're running 108% AI, which is fantastic, so much higher than what I expected to be running around here, and it could be an exciting session I think. So we're very close between myself and Kubica, and then I think Toro Rossos are in there as well, so we're going to see how we get on in this session. But first of all, the most explosive start to a Q1 session you'll see. Verstappen and Stroll right in front of us collide. I was speechless at the time. Stroll loses his left front and he's out of the session. So let's get a replay on that real quick. But really odd start to Q1 there. But that's the AI's fault, the coding. Stroll should have backed out there with blue flags. For some reason though on this game, the AI never seems to slow down on the pit exit and just keep, they just go flat out down to the first corner. So many times, we got held up in Monza from Lewis Hamilton by not slowing down, and it happens all the time, and that needs to get addressed in a patch sometime soon. But yeah, nonetheless, we're now going to jump into the actual action here at Japan, one of my favourite tracks in the calendar. My top 2 along with Spa, this track is one of them, and my first one was actually okay for P15 there, and we are into Q2 as things stand, but eventually others will improve elsewhere. We're currently splitting the Toro Rossos here, and it seems like we don't have great pace, even though we're quicker than Toro Rosso. The Williams does seem to be the slowest car, because Kubica currently is P20. So yeah, we're going to see who gets on. At the moment, I'm actually P18, not P17. For some reason, Perez has glitched out in 18th place, but we're actually 18th. Perez is up in like P7. So nonetheless, we're now going to ride on board for our full lap of Japan here. Straight away, 1 and 2, absolutely fantastic. They're keeping it nice and tight, especially through the second one, where it's very difficult. Now throwing the car into the S's, a little bit too early on the right-hander, taking a bit of grass there, but we still overall have a pretty solid first sector, carrying the speed through all of the S's, and now up the hill here through the Dunlop curve, using the curb on the right hand side to maximise your exit. Keep the car nice and tight to the left hand side as we now throw the car into Degner 1 and then brake a little bit into Degner 2, down a couple of gears, under power as soon as possible, use the curb on the exit, and that is a fantastic bit of traction there as we improve to 2/10. Now up towards the hairpin here, the curb actually curves down to first gear and try and get the traction and the power down as soon as possible here. A little bit of oversteer and a little bit of wheel spin there. I didn't quite get the perfect exit, but overall a good lap so far, and 2.5 tenths up as we now go up towards the spoon curve and throwing it in there, down a couple of gears, make sure they run too wide onto that curb and then bring it back across for a tight apex here for the second part of spoon onto the curb. A little bit of a poor exit there, running a bit wide, picking up some understeer, but overall pretty damn good considering my setup is actually slightly compromised for the rain tomorrow, so I could go a little bit quicker than this as we're now currently going towards the end of the lap here, and pretty much the Casio triangle to negotiate as we throw the car into the first one and then flick over to the left nice and easy on the power, then on the exit, and then try and bring the car to the right-hand side for the shortest run to the line, and that is the lap of Suzuka. And it's going to get us into Q2 here around qualifying, and it is not going to get us in. We do out-qualify Kubica, but other than that, there's not many more positives. We just miss out narrowly to Danny Kvyat out there for P17 as Lance Stroll brings up the rear, as we saw him crash before the Verstappen. And Alex Albon there, P16, the last guy to not get through. And to be fair, there was a bit of a gap to Norris, in fairness, and I don't think I could have done that lap. You know, even on my best day, I couldn't have gotten to Q2 around here. So the Williams ultimately just suffering a bit from, you know, ultimately in its DNA being a back marker car. But yeah, overall, this is quality. We out-qualified Kubica, which is good, and we've got a wet race ahead of us now, and there's going to be light rain conditions all the way through, so I'm looking forward to it. So let's jump into it, and let's see how we get on. It's time for round 17 of the season for the race for the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's get to work.
And a very warm welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix, an event that has decided a Drivers' Championship 11 times over the years and has hosted some very memorable races as well. Who can forget Kimi Raikkonen's win from 17th on the grid in 2005, or Kamui Kobayashi's incredible drive to a podium in 2012. We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at a wet and windy Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with Sector 1 likely to prove especially difficult in these conditions. We should see overtaking into turns 1 and 16 today, and maybe a few Kobayashi-style dives into the hairpin as well. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Now I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. There's a real chance they could win the title today. So how do you think they'll handle the pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Pierre Gasly and Ricciardo, Perez, Magnussen, Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen, Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Lando Norris and Sainz, Giovinazzi, Albon, Daniel Kvyat and Martinez. Kubica and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, so here we are then on the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix, starting from 18th place, and overall it's going to be an interesting race, this one, because we've got Kubica and Stroll behind us, so we're not starting on the back row, and I'm going to try and again run with 108% AI around here. Now the race is going to be very different because we have rain expected all the way through. You can see on screen right now the weather conditions, no dry running at all it seems. It's going to be intermediates throughout the entire race, so it could be quite interesting in terms of, you know, seeing how our pace really is. I purposely done a few setup tweaks yesterday in qualifying, and I didn't quite maximize the pace because I sacrificed a little bit for these conditions to try and adapt the setup a little bit for the wet conditions. In terms of fuel though, we're going to run the exact amount of laps, 27 laps of fuel for 27 laps this race, no more and no less. We're going to be pretty much bang on target. I could go a little bit into the negative, but I feel like the car is still quite, you know, it's still quite thirsty in terms of fuel consumption. So I'm not quite there yet in terms of taking that risk of fuel consumption. But yeah, guys, overall, Japan, it's going to be a tricky one because the AI are very quick around here. But I feel confident and I do like this track. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can try and get something out of it. There's going to be very little strategy in this race. I think it's going to be intermediates all the way through. It's all going to come down to just on-track overtakes and general race pace. So let's hope we've got good pace in the wet and the setup changes pay off. And with that being said, let's jump into it. It's time for round 17 for the Japanese Grand Prix here at Suzuka. Here we go then. Let's get ready for the 5 red lights here at Suzuka. Lights out and away we go. Pretty decent start. We have a little bit of wall spin in the second phase, but we get away relatively well. Down towards turns 1 and 2. Kind of boxed in here side by side with my own teammate Robert Kubica. We're going to try and get a good exit here out of turn 2. Take the inside line as we enter the S's. Try and find some space a little bit wider. That's going to invite Kubica. We're going to have to defend, taking the inside through the next corner. Lots of side by side here. We've got both Torossos, and then we've got Alpha and the McLaren just up the road side by side as well. There's contact there between the two Torossos. We get onto the grass though. so we can't quite get past. That's Kvyat and Albon have contact. The Alfa and the McLaren in front. Going side by side as we go on the outside of Kvyat here. Somehow we get no wing damage, even though I hit him. Up towards the hairpin. On the brakes, late down the inside of Alex Albon. And we're going to take the position. There we go. Power down. Let's see if we can hold it flat. Not quite, just lifting a little bit there. Up to P16 we go. I've got the slightest bit of wing damage. It's still green, but it's a little bit lighter than the left side. There was some contact with Kvyat, I noticed, and I felt that in the Degners. As we go into the back straight here, let's see what straight line speed is like. Seems like it's pretty decent at the moment. Albon's looking for the overtake, but there's no way through. How much speed can we carry through 130R? Quite a bit. We're going to be cautious on the brakes here just to get a feel for the racetrack and see where everything is, the balance. Let's see if we have pace in these conditions to try and race with the guys in front and the midfield runners. I think we might, but we're going to have to be very, very good with our racing. Overall race car has to be on point. So P16 after lap 1. Good start, aggressive start, that pays off. I'm getting a good exit out of the hairpin there. I'm going to open up the differential a bit. Overall, I think we're struggling for pace a little bit in the corners, but on the straights we're pretty good. And also I'm actually quite decent on traction. It's definitely a lap of 2 halves. I do struggle for the S's, but everywhere else I seem to be okay. Also I seem to be saving a bit of fuel as well, so maybe I could have started with negative fuel maybe. Either way, it's not a bad thing, it just means we can run rich mix at certain points in the race, which is good. So let's continue on here as lap 2 draws to a close, and we're hanging on to this midfield train at the moment, which is good.
Yellow flag.
Oh, yellow flag. Let's see what happens here. Could it be in front or is it behind? Hopefully it's in front. And it is in front. Someone's slowing down in front of us. Into the S's. Let's see who it is.
Some information on Gasly. They've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull. Being held up here. Giovinazzi, we're going to go around the outside. Will that be illegal? Yes, it is.
Illegal maneuver. Cede that position or we'll receive a penalty.
Had to give it back. Luckily we don't lose another position, so we can give it back straight away, but that was a really, really bad one there. The timing on that was awful. I was going to lose either way. Giovinazzi was never going to pass Gasly, so I would have had to have sat behind him and we would have lost the gap to the midfield, which is not ideal, but it does mean Giovinazzi has no slipstream now, so we could try and get in, but that was a pretty piss poor exit there. Getting a huge bit of oversteer. Let's try and stick with Gio here. I think the midfield runners will still kind of cost each other time because they're running so close to one another, so I think we'll be able to catch up quite easily. Nice little slide there through 130R. I tried to go flat through there as we take out both of the bollards. See you later. I might have just overheated my rears a bit, so I've got to be careful, but we are getting the run on Giovinazzi here. We don't have a massive pace advantage, but it is enough. We are gaining here. Gio will go defensive, but this is where I lose time in sector 1. All the S's, they hurt me quite badly. I'm struggling, but then I gain over the rest of the lap, so it's pretty 50-50, I think. Just got to try and get through this first section. The AI are much better than me through here. We're catching back up to the midfield. You can see in front of us the massive train. There's kind of a little bit of a separation starting to occur now, but it's still very much the midfield. And we're starting to regain on those guys. I'm just following Giovinazzi for now. I don't have a massive amount of pace over him. If I overtook him, it'd be quite hard to shake him off, but I could stay in front for sure. So it's going to be very close. I don't think we ultimately have the X factor, enough pace to score points today, so I might have to try and do something with strategy, whether it's an undercut or an overcut possibly, and also make a few crucial overtakes when it matters. Good thing is we are starting to drop Albon behind, which is good, so we're pulling away from those guys. Okay, Stroll's overtaken Alex Albon behind, so I'm going to have to start thinking about overtaking Giovinazzi because I know how fast our Racing Point is, especially on the straights. We might need to put Aarava and in between us to give me a bit of a break. Okay, we're getting on Giovinazzi here. I'm going to try and go for the move because Stroll's getting behind and I need to, like I said, get that car in between us. Let's see if we can get a good run through the chicane and potentially have a good exit onto the pit straight. There we go, that's a good exit there. Personal best. We're gaining here, we're going to go for it. Down the inside this time. Gio trying to hold around the outside, and he does so. We just brush him a little bit with my wing. But Giovinazzi very late on the brakes. Fair play to him. Stays in front for now.
Virtual safety car, virtual safety car. Reduce speed immediately and keep a positive delta. Drop your speed, our delta is too low and we risk a penalty. Slow your pace immediately.
I've got no idea what that's for. I don't know who's retired, I don't know what the hell's happened, but good chance to cool the tyres down and get fuel back on target. But that's a weird one to me. No one's retired, so that's mystifying to me. No idea what's happened.
Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now. This light rain is going to be with us for a while now.
Oh, that's a good restart. We timed that well. Big chunk of oversteer though. We're catching back up to the midfield as well, which is good. So we're back after that Gasly kind of kerfuffle, if you will. Very, very close to Gio this time. We do get a bit of mid-corner oversteer there, just clipping the curb on the exit, which is going to hurt us quite badly. I still think I'm going to get the run though. Got the slipstream. I'm going to turn the engine down though, so I don't want to hit him mid 130R. Oh, a little bit of dirty air there kicking in, bit of understeer. That's a shame. I wanted to get the run into the chicane, but didn't quite work out. Accidentally left it in fourth gear through there as well. Okay, let's try and get him again. This time I'm going to try the outside line. We're gaining. Use that slipstream. Around the outside we go. Doesn't quite work. Gio is holding that turn one line very nicely. I've got to try somewhere else, I think. Okay, this time we're much closer. And this time no oversteer, mid-corner. Can we get him before 130R? Yes, we can. He's got a very slow run. We're going to go to the inside. Personal best, a bit of contact there as I hit him. We go down the inside of 130R. A little bit of a braking there, but crucial thing is we are past as a Stroll is starting to close in on us. So we're up to P14 now. No wing damage from that, which is good. Good exit. Just going to turn the engine up a little bit just to stay in front, down towards turn one.
Expecting you in around 2 laps, and we'll be putting you on the intermediate tyres.
That's going to be interesting, the timing of this pit stop, because all these cars in front are still also close together. So the undercut or the overcut could prove to be clinical. So we've got to try and time this. I could go for a mass undercut and pit very early. So I'll see how this one goes. I'm going to list out for this lap. Sticking off in front. A bit too wide for 130R, and that's put one of them cars on the back foot. Looks like it's the McLaren who's been put on the back foot there, going side by side with the Renault, and now both McLarens are side by side here. Just getting to crunch time now, getting near the pit stops. And I can actually smell some points as the McLarens go side by side down the pit straight here onto lap 12. What does the tyre looking like? It is a bit higher than I expected. So maybe a massive undercut may not be possible. Let's see, let's judge this lap by lap. If I can get past the McLarens at the same time, that'd really help us out. Hamilton setting the pace. I don't think I'm getting past Grosjean here. Those McLarens are pretty good on the straight, but also he's got a nice toe from Sainz. So it's going to be quite tricky to pass him. We just about go flat there. Small little lift. Got to attack the apex more. But the crucial thing is we're putting the pressure on the McLarens here. I think we might just commit to our original strategy, to be honest. We've got the last pit box.
Pit window open. Let's box this lap.
And if I do overcut, it'll be by 1 lap. But the McLaren's here battling again. Very close to Grosjean here. Good exit. Onto the back straight. We're very close here. Could we maybe challenge into Spoon? We're gaining on the McLaren. have a look down the inside, side by side here. We are going to find our way through a little bit of contact mid-corner there, but we get past and barge our way past the Frenchman. Let's turn the engine up. Let's make sure we pull away. There we go. Look at the speed of the Williams. Now, do I pit in this lap or do I stay out? I'll judge it at the last second, depending on how many cars are in the pit lane. Although I am leaning towards staying out for one more lap, to be honest. Just to have the fresher tyres. Let's have a look. See who pits in. Okay, not many cars in the pit lane, so a few more go in, but we're going to stay out. I'm going to go for one more. I'm going to turn the engine up here. I'm going to push this lap. Push very hard. Let's see if we can have a strong in lap and a strong overcut. Right, fantastic in lap. We've dropped Grosjean, and I'm on for a personal best. There it is. Now we're going to pit in. There we go, carrying the speed through 130. I'll turn the engine down. We've kept up with Bottas pretty well, and now we've got to pit in, have a good stop. We've got the last pit box, which helps us out massively in terms of being held up as we go into the pit lane. Let's not speed. Get it slowed down, and there we go. That's a good entry. Very, very good in lap. That was worth it. The overcut was perfect. We're going to hold up the Renault there as well, and I think he's going to get held up by a few more cars actually as we pit in. Kubica pits in with us.
Robin in the pits.
Oh, what a stop.
You'll be racing as you leave the pits. Release, release.
We've jumped Norris. Get in. Wow, what a stop. 1.8.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
So we're rejoining P12. Overcut. Successful. We've got this train in front of us, and I can smell points. We're right in this race. We really are. Fantastic. What a sequence. Playing it beautifully. But that pit stop was fantastic. Getting past Norris was a big, big bonus. Now let's try and catch up with these guys and not lose contact with them.
Okay, clear.
Oh, yellow flag behind. One of the Toro Rossos has gone off. I think there might be some contact there. We've got Norris behind us, a company. As usual, I'm struggling through sector 1. But then I tend to do better in the second half of the lap. Good thing is the guys in front aren't getting away from me just yet. And there could be some battles about to occur as well, which will help us out. Let's pick up a big bit oversteer there. Norris trying to look for a way through, but no way past just yet. Let's keep pushing. I'm running at an okay pace. I mean, I'm doing personal best pace, but I'm not quite as quick as the cars in front at the moment. I'm starting to drop back a little bit. The good thing is they're bunching up now, so hopefully they will start to cost each other time, and we can catch back up. And also, hopefully, like in the last thing, as this thing progresses and the tyre wear picks up, we should find more pace and hopefully get a bit quicker. So we'll get a chance, I think, later on in the race to get after them. So important to keep ERS and fuel on target. Dare I say, have some in the excess, just in case if we need to go for any last pushes.
Some information on Hulkenberg. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
Oh, okay. Hulkenberg in front of us in the Renault. He's just in front of Kimi, so that's good news. That's going to potentially promote us into 11th place, and then we're just one position shy of the points then. Meanwhile, cars are stacking up behind. We've got, I think that's Grosjean behind Norris looking for a move. Good thing there's no DRS, so Norris isn't really closing in on me as Raikkonen goes around the outside of Hulkenberg into 1 and 2, and he pulls it off, and he gets past the Renault. Ideally, would have liked to have seen Raikkonen stay stuck behind the Renault through the S's, but it is what it is. Let's try and get past Nico ASAP and try and get after Raikkonen. Okay, then we're getting very close to Hulkenberg now. Let's try and get past the German as we go towards the hairpin. He's very conservative on the brakes. We're going to go for the old switchback. Although his straight on speed is okay, he's struggling on the braking and the cornering. We're going to try and get him into spoon. Here we go, up to overtake mode. We're going to go to the inside, down the inside of the German. And there we go, that's a comprehensive move into spoon. That's going to hold up Norris a little bit, at least for just a corner or two. As we pull away now, I'm going to turn the engine up to try and open up a gap. Let's see if we have the pace to get back after Kimi. I think he's opened up too much of a gap, but I'm going to try my best to not let him go too far. Okay, Grosjean gets past Hulkenberg behind us. Meanwhile, I'm on an absolutely incredible lap here. Don't know where this has come from, but we've just picked up the pace here. A 41.3, 7/10 quicker, and that was not running any higher engine mode in any other place. It was a very normal lap time, running low through sector 1. But that's the kind of lap times we need to get back into this race. And that might just be the turning point. Like I said before, we're better towards the end of the stint, so let's see if that is the case, and let's see if we can try and match those laps. I think it's going to be quite hard to match that particular lap every single time round, but I'll try my best to get as close as I can. Another personal best, good pace, but Raikkonen's actually faster than me. Grosjean's got good pace as well, but the good thing is in front of Kimi, everyone's bunched up, so if they start losing time, Kimi joins that battle as well. There might be a chance here, but I just feel like we're too far back, unfortunately. At the moment, I'm trying my best, but we just don't have enough pace. I'm losing about a half-second lap to Kimi and half-second lap to Grosjean behind. And I'm matching at a very strong pace. You know, I'm doing my best every single lap, but it's just not enough. And I think the AI now is starting to show that they're quite strong around this circuit because I can't do much about it, unfortunately. So I think the battle is going to be trying to stay in front of Grosjean rather than catch up to the cars in front. So unfortunately, I think we are going to miss out on points today unless someone from the top 10 retires in the closing stages. Even then, we've got to try and keep Grosjean behind. Another personal best, 41.2. Still pushing here with 2 laps to go. As Grosjean closes in, I've got to try and keep the gap. Last lap of the race, another personal best. Let's bring it home. Grosjean 2.8 behind. He hasn't really gained enough on this lap to catch me up, so I think we're home and dry. No mistakes now, please. There we have it then. Verstappen wins here at Suzuka. A rare victory for him in the Red Bull. He struggled all season long. That Red Bull's not quite been there for pace, but this time Verstappen gets the job done. Meanwhile, we're going to cruise home here for P11. Unfortunately, we're going to miss out on the points after a fantastic drive. Good strategy, good race pace, and you know, well-timed overtakes overall. But it's not going to be enough, and we're going to just miss out. Let's just make sure we get this one home. As Grosjean goes for one last push, I've kind of given up now. I'm not really pushing as much as I was. I want to just bring this one home. There you can see 7 tenths down on our previous personal best. But yeah, overall, a decent race. No points to show for it, but overall no complaints. And I enjoyed this race. It was a big challenge on 108% AI. It's the highest I've ever used around this track. And we came through, and we're going to bring home a P11. So overall, good job, good race, and I enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then after a quality performance. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and had the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy? You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you? How did your team respond to the poor conditions today? I think it's great how much your team has been focused on developing your car. Great. Well, that's everything.
Right, so here we have the final race results here for the Japanese Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen wins it for Red Bull, and he doesn't just win it, he actually picks up the fast lap of the race as well with a 38.9, so overall a deserved win for the Dutchman. Sebastian Vettel P2, Charles Leclerc P3, and Mercedes, even though they're the quickest car by far, could only manage 4th and 5th. However, it is still good news for Mercedes because they officially wrap up the Constructors' Championship here today at Japan. We'll confirm that in a moment's time, but Sergio Perez P6, best of the rest in the Racing Point, only 4 seconds behind the works Mercedes. Kevin Magnussen P7, Daniel Ricciardo P8, Sainz P9, with Raikkonen scoring the final point, and we come home P11. And if you look at the fast laps of the race, you can see we never quite had the pace. You know, we was always about half a second off, and we was battling, you know, out of our depth in many ways. And we should have been with Stroll, Albon, Kubica, and Kvyat, with Hulkenberg there bringing out the rear, and Gasly, the only retirement of the Grand Prix here today in the other Red Bull. But in terms of what that race means for the standings, first of all, the Drivers' Championship, we're still 5 points behind Kimi. We only lose 1 point to him because he only scored 1 point here today. Verstappen, with that win and those 26 points, jumps up to P5 and overtakes Pierre Gasly, and In terms of the Drivers' Championship, 66 points cover Bottas and Hamilton, and then you've got Leclerc and Vettel in 3rd and 4th, with Verstappen and Gasly there in 5th and 6th. Overall, the top 3, as you'd expect them to be. But yeah, guys, that is it for the Drivers' Championship, and overall, not much changing there, really, to be honest. But we're now going to move into the Constructors' Championship, and Mercedes officially wrap up the Constructors' title here, as you can see on screen. 212 points clear of Ferrari. They are miles ahead, and they win it in style with 5 races to go. And yeah, overall, they deserved it. They were dominant, and no complaints there on my end. In terms of us, though, we're 5 points behind Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi yet to score a point, and it's pretty much me versus Kimi, because Kubica also hasn't scored a point yet. So it's going to be a tricky battle. I think Renault are going to be a little bit too quick, unfortunately for us. I think they've just got a little bit too much pace, but I think Alfa could be achievable. If we get one good race where we get some big points, it could happen. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode of Career Mode, and for now we're going to move to the next race at, I believe it's going to be Mexico actually, and then it's USA after that. So yeah, we're going to move to the next race at Mexico, sorry, because we're going to save some points up. There's no point in upgrading just yet. We're going to save some points, and we'll spend them probably at the end of the Mexican Grand Prix, or maybe the USGP. I think we'll probably spend them. So in 2 races time, we'll probably spend the points, and it'll be invested in parts which aren't performance related, and then we'll use Brazil and Abu Dhabi plus the end of season bonus to save up points for upgrades over the winter going into next season. But guys, that is it for this episode of Career Mode. And if you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on the video, and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 content, and also a ton of notifications to not miss any videos from me, guys. And also finally check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching this episode of Career Mode, and I'll see you in my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.